Hello and welcome to one more video of Box Info. Today we are going to talk about AI or artificial intelligence. In the previous video we talked about the history of artificial intelligence. If you haven't watched the video, do watch it. I will leave a link in the description. Today we are going to see some real world application of artificial AI. One of the most famous application of AI is Google Predictive Search Engine. When you begin typing in search term, Google makes a recommendation for you to choose from. That is AI in action. So the predictive searches are based on the data that Google collects about you, such as your browser history, your location, your age, and other personal details. In finance sector, JP Morgan's Chase Contact Intelligence platform uses AI machine learning image recognition software to analyze legal documents. In healthcare, IBM is one of the pioneers that has developed AI software specifically for medicine. More than 230 healthcare organizations use IBM's technology, which is IBM Watson. In 2016, IBM Watson technology was able to cross-reference 20 million oncology records quickly and correctly diagnosed a rare leukemia condition in a patient. There is one more example in healthcare. The Google AI Eye Doctor is another initiative which is taken by Google, where they are working with an Indian eye care chain to develop artificial intelligence system which can examine a retinal scan and identify a condition called diabetic retinopathy, which can cause blindness. In social media platform like Facebook, artificial intelligence is used for facial verification in order to detect facial features and tag your friends. We are actually unaware of that we are using AI very regularly in our life. All the social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter are heavily relying on artificial intelligence. Another example is in Twitter, AI is used to identify any sort of hate speeches in order to filter out offensive or any reportable content. In virtual assistant, we have Siri and Alexa right now. Let me tell you about another newly released Google virtual assistant called Google Duplex, which has surprised millions of people around the world. Not only it can respond to the calls and book an appointment for you, it also adds a human touch to it.
We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for?
Just a woman's haircut for now.
Okay, we have a 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is fine.
Okay, what's her first name?
The first name is Lisa.
Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. Have a great day. Bye.
That was a real call you just heard. The amazing thing is the assistant can actually understand the nuances of conversation. We've been working on this technology for many years. It's called Google Duplex. It brings together all our investments over the years in natural language understanding, deep learning, text-to-speech. By the way, when we are done, the assistant can give you a confirmation notification saying your appointment has been taken care of. Let me give you another example. Let's say you want to call a restaurant, but maybe it's a small restaurant which is not easily available to book online. The call actually goes a bit differently than expected. So take a listen.
See how may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Wednesday the 7th.
For 7 people?
It's for 4 people.
4 people when? Today?
Next
Tonight?
Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Oh, actually we reserve for like after like 5 people. For 4 people you can come.
How long is the wait usually to be seated?
For when, tomorrow or weekday or?
For next Wednesday, the 7th.
Oh no, it's not too busy. You can come for 4 people, okay?
Oh, I gotcha. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Tesla will have fully self-driving car ready by the end of the year. And a robotaxi vision, it can ferry passenger without anyone behind the wheel. And this is all possible because of AI. So artificial intelligence implement computer vision, image detection, deep learning in order to build a car that can automatically detect any object or any obstacle and drive around without any human intervention. Netflix also uses artificial intelligence for the recommendation. Over 75% of what you watch is recommended by Netflix. So Netflix uses machine learning for the recommendation what you may be interested in watching next, so that you can stay engaged and continue your monthly subscription. Apart from Netflix, Gmail also uses AI on an everyday basis. If you open your inbox right now, you will notice that there are separate sections. For example, you have a private section and a section for social media and all of that. Gmail has also a separate section called spam mails. What Gmail does is it makes use of concept of artificial intelligence machine learning algorithms to classify emails as spam and non-spam. Many of times certain words or phrases are frequently used in spam emails. They have words like lottery, earn, full refund. All of these denotes that the mail is likely to be a spam. So such words and correlations are understood by using machine learning and natural language processing. So guys, these are some common applications of artificial intelligence which are used in our daily life. So how many types of AI are there? There are 3 types of AI right now: artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence. Artificial narrow intelligence, or also known as weak AI, it involves applying AI only for a specific task. So many currently existing systems that claim to be using artificial intelligence are actually operating on a weak AI. Amazon's Alexa, Google search engine, Sophia the humanoid self-driving car are some of the example of weak AI or artificial narrow intelligence. Right now we are at the stage of weak AI. We are actually haven't reached artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence. But let's look at what exactly it would be like if we reached artificial general intelligence. Now, artificial general intelligence, or also known as strong AI, involves machines that possess ability to perform any intelligent task that a human being can. Right now, machines does not have a reasonable way of thinking like human. They have a very strong processing unit, but they are not yet capable enough of thinking and resembling like a human being. So that's why we are still stuck at the artificial narrow intelligence. So far we haven't developed any machine that can be called as strong AI. Moving on to the artificial superintelligence. This is a term referring to the time when the ability of computer will surpass humans. Presently, it's seen as a hypothetical situation shown in some of the movies or in some science fiction books where machines have taken over the world. For example, movies like Terminator. Now, this does not exist yet, which we should be thankful for. But there are a lot of people who speculate that artificial superintelligence will take over the world by year 2050. So these were some different type of or different stages of artificial intelligence. For now, we have only weak AI that exists for now. We do not have any machine which are capable of thinking like a human being. So guys, this was my talk on artificial intelligence or AI. If you have any questions regarding this subject, please let me know in the comment section. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon for further notification whenever I post a video. Until then, Jai Hind.
For India's tryst with her digital destiny. Therefore, Honorable Prime Minister, this summit is yet another testimony to your visionary leadership. 6 years ago, sir, you launched the Digital India Mission and made it a top national priority. And the results have been spectacular. Artificial intelligence.
First of all, I think it's good we are talking about it. As humanity, the way we solve things is by getting concerned about them. So if you take climate change as a framework, we all started getting worried about it, and that's why we have spent a lot of time working together, creating things like the Paris Agreement, and then working on solving it. I think about things like AI the same way. AI is probably the most important thing humanity has ever worked on. I think of it as something more profound than electricity or fire. And anytime you work with technology, you need to learn to harness the benefits and while minimizing the downsides. Stepping back, when you think about a lot of problems in the world today, it's because we typically have a constraint on resources. AI, for the first time, I think over time, offers a different construct. Things which are constrained and look like a zero-sum game today may not be so in the future. Take education, for example. It's really difficult to educate people in a cost-effective way. AI may fundamentally change that equation. Countries, we have to agree to demilitarize AI, and I think that's a common goal countries should work towards. It's tough to weaponize it because everyone will have the same ability back, and I think that gives a framework for us to think about. So you need a global stand down, global consensus not to use it for military purposes. Going to be very hard, but I think is the kind of framework we all need to work towards, and that's the only way out of it, I think.
Theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, whom I'm sure you know, warned this week that technology could end up ending humanity at some point. Do you share that apocalyptic view of technology?
Well, I think it's something that it's not going to happen overnight. I do think we have to worry about it. I don't think it's inherent that as we create superintelligence that it will necessarily always have the same goals in mind that we do. Humans don't always have the same goal as other humans. So who gets control of the technology? How is it built in? I don't think there's a need to panic, but I think the dialogue along those levels, the people who say let's not worry at all, I don't agree with that. Well, in the even 10 to 20 year time frame, artificial intelligence is going to be extremely helpful, and the risk that it gets super smart, that's way out in the future and probably worth talking about. But now what we're seeing is that for the first time, computers can see as well as humans. That's pretty incredible. If you combine that with the ability to have arm-like manipulation, then they can make us far more productive, but then the job market has to adjust to that. Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft are all moving ahead at a great speed in improving this artificial intelligence software. So it's very exciting, and the speed is faster than it was 5 years ago. Well, one area is what we call agents, where if you're seeking knowledge, you can talk in natural language to an expert agent, and it will do as well as a human would giving you information. A specific example of that is have the software help you figure out what's important. Today we're kind of slaves to our computer, where we have to decide to go to email or Twitter or text, and we're the one weighing which might be more important. Software is going to solve that, where it'll look at all the new information and present to you, knowing about your interests, what would be most valuable. So making us more efficient, what I call the alter ego software, will be a huge help.
The artificial intelligence is coming, and robots is going to replace a lot of jobs. But I'm a believe that 30 years later, this new technology is going to create more jobs than today.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I think autonomous weapons are extremely scary. I think it's a big, and you, by the way, do not need general AI. So right now, the things that we know how to do, you should think of those things as what is called narrow AI, things like machine vision and so on. To build incredibly scary autonomous weapons, you do not need general AI. The techniques that we already know and understand are perfectly adequate, and these weapons, some of the ideas that people have for these weapons are in fact very scary. The idea that there's going to be a general AI overlord that subjugates us or kills us all, I think is not something to worry about. I think that is overhyped. But second of all, I think it's unlikely that such a thing's first instincts would be to exterminate us.
It is seeping into our lives in all sorts of ways that we just don't notice. And part of the reason is because the way we think about AI is colored by popular culture and by science fiction. In science fiction, what you hear about is generalized AI, right? So computers start getting smarter than we are and eventually conclude that we're not all that useful.
Someday we got to the point where there were robots every place. They were running farms, they were running Apple, they were running Berkshire Hathaway, and all you had to do was one person could punch a button at the start of every morning, and all the goods and services that we're getting now would be turned out by robots or whatever, and we'd have the goods. We'd have 18 million cars a year, we'd have 1 million housing starts, we'd have all the iPads being sold, and if all of that came from one person pushing a button, would that be a tragedy?
We just don't know what's going to happen once there's intelligence substantially greater than that of a human brain. Movies and TV featuring AI, they don't describe it in quite the way it's likely to actually take place. But I think you just have to consider, like, even in the benign scenario where AI, if AI is much smarter than a person, what do we do?
Yeah.
What job do we have? But that's the benign scenario. Benign scenario, the AI can do any job that a human can, but better.